Okay, that's us live for the very first My Language Challenge kickoff event. So My Language Challenge is a group of language learners all working to improve their language skills over a period of 3 months. Probably the best way for us to start off is just for everyone to introduce themselves. So who would like to go first? Any volunteers?
I can. Hi. My name is Tina, and I've done other challenges before, but for this challenge, I am going to be focusing on Italian again, since I took a year or so off of it. Yeah, I live in the States, and I'm going to be focusing mostly on the conversational aspect, like I guess is the focus already anyway. But yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Hi, okay, I'm Nisha and Agnieszka is here with me.
Hi.
We'll do our introduction together. We are, it's London calling, we are Polish, we live in London, and I'm learning Ukrainian.
I'm learning Russian.
Yes, I did French before with some of the people here. And I really like how these challenges do force you to focus on conversation and pronunciation with it, and because I think it's really important. And I don't think I can spend that much time on Ukrainian because I'm still doing French and a few other things, but I'm really looking forward to it. Do you want to?
Yeah, I was sort of forced by Nisha to do the challenge, and I think I was thinking a lot about what language to choose, and I thought I would do Russian just because that's my dog, by the way. I'll do Russian because it's a language that I've learned in primary school, and I've never actually, I could never actually say that I can speak this language, but I know a little bit, so I just hope I can speak a bit more higher level, a bit more civilized than I do at the moment.
Mm-hmm. That's it from us.
Okay, who's up next?
All right, maybe I'll go. Can you? I'm not sure if I see my photo come big. If you guys can hear me, okay?
Yep, hear me fine.
So my name's Tom. I know a few of you from some of the other challenges. I've never done Add One challenge, so maybe some of you that see me as new probably maybe I haven't been in those, so maybe don't recognize me. But for 30-day speaking challenge and language diary challenge, so I am focusing on German for this challenge. I'm also studying Czech and a little bit of Spanish starting out right now. But one of my big things is I've been technically learning German for somewhere like 15 years on and off since college. And I'm still stuck in kind of a B1, trying to be a B2, pretending to be a B2 kind of level. I can speak pretty fluently with very horrible grammar, very English directly translated to German type of speaking. And my friends in Germany never correct me. They're very kind, and neither do many tutors online. So I finally found a bit of a stricter teacher that is kind of holding me to making sure that I'm learning the right verbs, learning the right prepositional verbs, prepositions after verbs, the sort of sub-sentencing structure and all that, and actually start being more accurate when I'm speaking fluently. So.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Who's next?
My name is Karen. Can you all hear me?
Yep, yeah? Can hear you fine.
Great. And I recognize several of names and faces from Add One Challenge and other language groups. This challenge, I'm studying Spanish. I'm in Florida and have lots of opportunity to speak Spanish, and I've been studying it for years, but mostly not studying. And so I'm really buckling down and really excited about it, really focusing on past tense to conquer that. And I'm excited to learn with all of you. And hi, Carol. I will be studying a little bit of French. We studied French a little bit, and keeping up with a tiny bit of Norwegian and German as well. So good luck to all of you.
How does this work?
You can just speak.
I can just speak? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is like, I haven't been on a Hangout in a long time. I can't see myself. So, okay, so I can't see myself when I speak. Okay, I'm Dela, and I'm going to be doing Japanese for this challenge. I've done Japanese a few times. I've done a few of the Ad1 challenges. I haven't been studying Japanese really for 2 years now. My daughter's planning to go back to Japan in the fall, so I want to bring my Japanese back up again. And I also find these language challenges just motivating to get me in on a schedule. So I'm also learning, I also speak French, and I would like to bring my Spanish back up, but first thing I'm concentrating on right now for this challenge is the Japanese. So glad to see everybody. Thank you, Gary, for putting this together. I'm so happy. Who's next?
I can go next. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, Jojo.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Jojo. I live in Plano, which is about 30 minutes north of Dallas in Texas. Originally from the Philippines. So for this challenge, I am doing French. It's funny because whenever people ask me how long I've been studying French, I've always said a few years. But when I did the calculations for the registration for this challenge, it's actually been 25 years. And like I said in my first post, I really have nothing to show for it. So I'm hoping, like Thomas, I think I'm in like a B1, sometimes like even like an A2 level, A2, B1, B2. So I would really love to go over the what I call an intermediate hump and really just like improve my French. I'm okay when I do some travel for work. So whenever I'm, like I was in Geneva a few weeks ago, I'm okay when I do like tourist French, like restaurant ordering and things like that. But I've actually been involved for the last couple of months in a project in Senegal, and whenever we do technical meetings, I just get lost. When once you put in technical terms and all that, and people speak really fast, and add to that like some different accents, it just becomes more difficult. So I'm hoping that this challenge will kind of like help me push and really improve my French to the level that I would like it to be in, and hopefully allow me to also take the DELF exam, the certification exam. So, Gary, thank you for setting this up. And I see a lot of familiar names and faces here. So good luck to all of us.
Well, I might as well go next. I'm Carol. A lot of you already know me because I've done several Ad1 challenges and Jonathan Huggins speaking challenge, although I never do a lot, but I'm in there, I just, I do all the speaking challenge assignments, but I never record them. I just speak them at home, and then usually I don't get around to making a recording, but it's certainly beneficial anyway. I studied French a long time ago when I was in high school and college, and that was cool. And at the time, I thought I had learned a lot. Then I went to France and found out I hadn't learned anything at all, which was very demoralizing. So once I found out about Ad1 Challenge, I tried it first with Spanish, and that was very helpful because that was one that I never thought I could learn. And so then I did French, and then I've done German and more French. And I'm still doing French because it's the one I'm determined to conquer first, but the others are still in there. I'm not leaving them alone because I work on basically 3, French, Spanish, and German at the same time, but I focus on French, and most of the work I do is in French. And then I just recently added Brazilian Portuguese because I have a friend I met who offered to teach me, so I took her up on the offer. But I'm just thrilled to be here, and I'm hopeful that maybe I can push my French. I take lessons on Lingoda, and according to them, I'm at a B1.2 level, which means that, eventually here, before too long, I might actually hit B2, but I've got lots of gaping holes where I might be able to speak, but I don't say things correctly, or I don't say them like natives do, which is my goal. So that's that. Thank you, Gary.
Great. Good to see you, Carol.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Well, I just want to say that I'm still jealous actually of you guys doing French, because I still really like it and I still do a lot of it. But and I'm always kind of thinking, well, I would love to learn other languages and Ukrainian, but it means that it takes time away from French. But well, that's how it is, so it's fine.
And what are you doing now? I may have missed it. What are you doing for this challenge?
I'm doing Ukrainian, just
okay.
a bit random, but I kind of wanted to well, there's a few reasons why I've chosen Ukrainian. It's partially because my husband's Canadian, but his family originally comes from Ukraine, his grandparents. So it's a language that sort of is there in the family, even though nobody speaks it anymore. And also it's quite similar to Polish, so I hope that it won't be too hard. And similar to Russian, which I learned at school, but I forgot most of. So it's sort of a fun language for me to try because I like the sound of it. But it was a bit of a random choice. I wanted to start something new, and we were discussing it here with Agnieszka. And
gosh, so many temptations, so many languages that are so great to sound beautiful.
And we've kind of narrowed it down. We're going to do the same language, actually. We're going to choose either Italian or Spanish or Russian.
I mean, I couldn't choose, but I think I'll start. For me, it was easier to start from Russian. It's my first ever challenge, so I'm going to start from Russian, that I know a little bit. So I think it may encourage me to learn more languages because it will be easiest choice for me, I guess.
Yeah, and then I was going to do Russian with her, but then I thought, well, actually, I kind of like the Ukrainian. I think better because it's. Sorry, we've got people here. Sorry.
And dogs.
And dogs and kids, and it's a bit chaotic.
Lego toy.
Right, so that's it from us, I think.
Okay. So for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Gary. For this, I've done quite a few challenges in the past. I think most people that have joined this one are on my friends list. There are a few new ones, but not many. So for this challenge, I'll be doing Scottish Gaelic, although as all of my Gaelic-speaking friends keep telling me, it's not Gaelic in Scotland, it's Gaelic. So I need to get into the habit of saying that. I thought about doing Gaelic for quite a number of years. Never got around to it. And then I was at a language event last month, and I met Adam O'Brien. I don't know, anyone here a fan of Outlander? Anyone heard of Outlander? No, it's maybe more.
I've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it, yes.
Right, well, Adam was the Gaelic language consultant on the show. So I had a chance to chat with him and a couple of other speakers. And yeah, they made me feel a bit excited about it, a bit guilty that I hadn't done it yet. So I thought, yeah, now's probably a good time. So I decided to do that. Jessica, you'll probably feel this. Oh, who's ringing? With an Indigenous language, it's a lot more difficult to find resources and speakers and practice and stuff like that. So that's going to be a challenge in itself. Jessica, I know you've said that your microphone's not working, but I know you're going to have a much more difficult time with it than I am. So yeah, but yeah, so that's me. So because this is the first challenge, and I will be honest, some of it I'm making up a little bit as I go along. So what does everyone expect from this? What do you think it will take to keep you going for the whole 3 months, or to achieve your target?
So I can maybe give a bit of an answer for that. So one of the sort of downsides of some of the challenges that I've been doing over and over again is a lot of time it's almost exactly the same challenge, so to speak, for the 1 month. With the speaking challenge, it's usually a lot of the same prompts, and if not, it's probably a lot of prompts that are too specific that they're not that interesting. And then with the language diary challenge, I just have to come up with something every day to say, and that I just run out of things to say, and then I'm just posting for the sake of saying something. And then instead of actually studying And I don't know that there's a lot of value added to that when I do it all the time. So looking for something a little unique.
Yep. So the main thing that we'll be doing to overcome that is the plan is to have regular sub-challenges. So each of the sub-challenges will run for 7 days. The first couple I will add to the challenge myself. After that, it will be up to the community. So everyone can suggest the next sub-challenge. We would then vote and pick the top ones, and out of the ones that are feasible, we would then put those forward for future challenges as well. And the idea is then that because it's by the people within the community, well, everyone's getting to contribute, then the challenge will change. And even if you repeat the challenge, it won't be the same time and time again. So it should add an element of uniqueness to each one. Anyone else?
That sounds great, Gary.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I know that seeing other people posting their videos and their progress keeps me motivated, because then I'm like, I can see other people's progress and kind of encourage them even if they can't see their own. And then the same thing happens with the videos I post. And then I know that maybe in a few weeks from now, or a few weeks from maybe my second or third video, then I'll be able to look back at that progress and be like, oh, I really have gotten better. And I know that that community aspect, and then also just the visual proof, is what keeps me motivated.
Yeah, I think what keeps me motivated is just knowing that other people are doing about the same thing, trying to learn a language, because it seems to be such an odd thing when you're telling people what you're doing. They're like, what are you doing that for? What do you want to learn that language for? What are you going to do with it? So it's just nice to be with a community of people that are actually interested in learning languages.
For me, it's the accountability of the group. Hearing from other people, seeing what they're doing, and having our different groups to network and talk to each other. And what are you doing? Oh, here's another idea if you get stuck. And I really enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, I think the small group aspect is kind of something that looks really neat for this. I'm kind of excited to see how that works out, because at some point in some of these challenges, there ends up being so many people involved that it starts just being another big polyglot group and not so much like an accountability group, which obviously, hopefully this idea grows, but having the small groups helps ensure that even as it grows, that there's that part of it's not lost.
Yeah, so everybody should be in their subgroups by now. If I have missed anyone, let me know and I'll get you added. So the idea is that you'll have your language group for everyone that's learning the same language. There are a few of us that we're the only one, so I may actually create another group just for us, the Misfits. And then you'll have another group just for accountability. So being accountable to each other, encouraging each other to continue, everything like that. So that's a plan. I just thought to say a little bit as well about why I called it My Language Challenge. So I called it that because, to me, it's great to do language learning as a group. And I must admit, when I'm not part of a group, I tend to start making excuses for not learning and stuff like that. But language learning is very much an individual thing as well. The way I learn a language is entirely different from the way another person learns language. And we can make suggestions, we can help each other along. However, I've never agreed with things like courses and things like that are like, right, I can teach you how to speak in 3 months, and then they're the same for everyone. So the idea is with this challenge, is to try and make it, so even with the sub-challenges, we'll try and make them so that they're not too specific. So for things like a listening challenge, if we say, right, for the next 7 days, you need to do 15 minutes of listening every day, then it wouldn't be you must do this. It would be, so you could choose a podcast, you could choose a native speaker or a TV program if you wanted to do it that way. However, but without tying you in too tightly to anything. So that's the plan. We'll see how it works. Because it is the first one, we can adapt as we go as well. So if you find something's working really well, let me know. If you find something's not working at all, definitely let me know.
Sounds good.
I'm going to stop speaking now and let you talk some more.
I won't share my camera because I was on my way home and now I'm in the grocery store. So I couldn't touch my phone while I was driving when everybody was giving their intros. But I mean, one of the things that I like about these is the motivation, which I think everybody's talked about. So I've tried a couple of times to learn Japanese, and after about a week, I usually peter out and stop working on it. So that's what I've been focusing on. And I also like the challenges, but I think maybe it was Tom I was mentioning, I get tired of the repetitive stuff where every time I go into it, it's the same thing. So what you said, Gary, about the fact that after the first couple, there'll be sort of a community approach to picking what these are. I really like that. I think that'll help motivate me as well.
So just out of curiosity then, we'll make this a lot more formal later, but what kind of things would people like to see in the challenge? Any ideas? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I should probably have asked this in the group earlier and gave you time to think about it.
No, I was just going to say that, well, when I first did Ad1 challenge for the first time, I was quite shocked by how quickly we had to start finding speaking partners. And I just felt like I was completely out of my depth. I wasn't ready for it. It's been only like, I don't know, 2 weeks into learning like 5 my first French words, and it was just way too soon. But looking back now, I think it was really good actually. And I quite liked it. Well, I didn't enjoy it at the time, but now thinking about it, I think it was good. My first conversation was the most embarrassing point in my life, one of the most embarrassing moments in my life, but still, I think that I've benefited from it quite a lot, actually. Sorry, the dog's barking again, so I will turn the microphone.
So what language is the dog going to do? Seeing as how it wants to join.
Well, the dogs, my dog is quite fluent in cat. He's there. And Agnieszka's dog, I don't know, what language is he doing? Luna's language, I think, Labrador. Yeah, you can see them there. Sorry for my messy kitchen, but they are there. Yeah. So there we go.
So the first couple of challenges that I've got sorted out are more about input, especially when you're first starting. I think it is good, definitely get confidence, and I would definitely encourage anyone to start speaking. But for the first month for me, I think input's probably the most important. So the first couple of challenges will be around reading and listening. Unless she's completely disagreeing, then we can switch up a bit. So we'll see how it goes.
Anyone else? I think the input early on is very important. Just because again, speaking early on is definitely helpful. But if it's too early on, I think that can kind of be a hit to your confidence a little bit. If you haven't heard enough to where everything is just kind of still gibberish. Because I think I made that mistake when I tried to switch to German, and I didn't have enough of just sitting and listening and trying to start making sense of it before I hopped on italki and tried to find a tutor. So I think that's a good idea to start with that first.
Yeah, that's kind of an opinion I've developed too, since with Czech, as I've learned Czech, I've studied by basically watching YouTube channels and writing transcripts of them. And that's been my primary study method. Whereas German, it was sort of speak from day one, use all the things I had learned, and then just start filling in gaps by asking for a single word in English. And then that's how I would create these like Englishified German sentences that were not very natural sounding, and became fluent in German with these really unnatural way of having conversation, because I did not have enough input. I didn't really get enough of how do Germans actually say it, or how do Austrians actually say it.
Well, I think we've... Oh, yeah, we lost you a bit there, Tom. We never caught the end part of that. Oh, and he's gone. Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not a speak from day one type of person. I can't do that. I'm not actually great at speaking in general. Confidence for speaking for me comes a bit later. And like I said, I do agree it's a good idea to get speaking. But for anyone that's confident enough to start speaking, I think they'll do that anyway, and they'll schedule their lessons in. And I know not everyone is right at the start of language learning as well, but that's why we'll have lots of mini challenges throughout, so that there's something for everyone.
I do also like how flexible this feels.
Yeah, Nessia just said she can't hear me. I take it everyone else can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
So it's just between me and you then. What about everyone else? Everyone else seems to be frozen.
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear
everyone started moving again. I don't know if it was fault with the broadcast or something.
I would agree with that. I think it really also depends on your level, right? I was debating whether I should have picked a totally new language for me for this challenge, because I love being a beginner, because you have a lot to gain when you start out new in a language. But for someone like me, like doing French here and at an intermediate level, it is kind of like it's a strange spot to be in, because you know enough, but you still don't know a lot. So you can easily get turned off with, like the courses on YouTube, for example, or videos on YouTube that are catered to beginners. Obviously, you get turned off watching that. But at the same time, if you're fed with something that's like totally out of your comfort zone, like let's say like a movie that's modern, that uses it also turns you off, right? So I think for someone like me in an intermediate level, it's harder, because now you have to really pick and choose what materials you work with. So that's not always easy. So that for me would be the challenge for this would be finding the right materials to work with.
Okay. So now that the challenge has started, I'm assuming that most people have done their study for today. I have, but then so what is everyone's plan for their first week? Let's go with that. Has everyone selected resources? Do they have a plan on what they're going to do?
My plan for the first week is to because it's been 2 years since I took lessons. My plan for the first week is just to kind of review, because I've lost a lot. Review the kanji that I knew before, and also to review the lessons so I can get back up to where I left off 2 years ago. So that's what I'm trying to do this week.
I'm in the same boat. Like I'll do a quick auditing of what materials I currently have, and maybe even go back to the book that the last time I touched it was last year, on preparing for the certification exam. But what's also complicating this is like I mentioned earlier, I do some work in a couple of French-speaking countries. So, and I don't wanna like bog down my work by turning like every meeting into a potential language learning opportunity. So there's always that struggle, right? So it's just like Dela said, that's trying to figure out where I'm at, looking at all the materials I have, doing a quick review, and then like moving forward.
Okay.
I'll be doing a bit of that, kind of reviewing the what materials I have and what I've gone over before. But I think for the first few weeks, at least, I'm going to be focusing on starting to write in my Italian journal every day again, so that my brain gets used to just making up sentences, even if it's just kind of a stream of consciousness thing again, and then finding podcasts as much as I can that's kind of at an intermediate level, but natural speed for speaking.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to try to reinstitute kind of my hobby language kind of coordination. So I've tried to pick up too many languages at one time, but when I was concentrating on one or two, and German was one of them, I was focused on, I had a journal for like when I went to the gym, and it was all written in German using stuff I'd found from German websites. And then I would always listen to German music during that. And then I would read, if I was ever bored and I wanted to just read what's going on in the news, make sure it was only in German, not in English, and things like that. And then YouTube videos, same thing. Look not for language learning materials, but just YouTube videos of German natives talking about whatever. One of the resources I shared is Wissen to Go, or Mr. Wissen to Go, which is like a 10-minute YouTube video every day of some, or not every day, but there's some random topics: history, politics, world affairs, science, just random topics that are a little more intermediate level.
Cool. So for me, with Gaelic, the resources are a lot more limited, so I'm having a bit of difficulty finding a lot of good beginner resources. There was a program on BBC Alba some time ago that I found on YouTube called Speaking a Language, so I'll be watching lots of those, and I'll continue to do that. I did sign up to a beginner course as well. It's supposed to be a 13-week course, but I've spoken to the lady that runs that, and we're going to do it twice a week rather than once a week. So I should get through it in half the time. She knows all about my challenge, so we're going to go through the beginner course in the first half of the challenge, and then she'll have lots of intensive speaking stuff with me in the second half of the challenge. So hopefully that works out well. So yeah, but I'm not entirely sure for everything else. Mango Languages seems to have a good Gaelic course on there as well, so I'm working through that. But I'll keep accumulating resources as I go, I think. Jessica has said that her microphone isn't working, and so she sent a message saying that she'll be doing basic sentence structures and lots of vocab, so, which is always a good way to start, I think. Carol also said before she left that she's going to be doing reverse translation. It's not something I've ever tried, so maybe that would be an interesting approach as well. Anyone else tried it?
Yeah, I've tried it. I actually did it. The very first language that I got, I learned German and French a long time ago in school, and then took them up and dropped them, picked them up. But Norwegian was actually the first language I really started learning when I became kind of a language enthusiast and focused on it. And that was actually when I used Teach Yourself to learn. And one of my strategies was I literally wrote down like my translation into English of the dialogues from Teach Yourself. And then a few days later, I would go back to my English and then try translating it back into Norwegian, and try to get as close as I could to the original. And that Norwegian was one of the easiest ones for me to get fluent. I think it was because of that strategy, partially.
Nice. Hi, Antonia.
Hello.
Hi there. I saw you join.
Yeah, I saw a space and jumped in. If I've taken someone else's space, let me know and I'll pop out again.
No, there's been a couple of people dropped off, so.
Okay, good. Well, not good, but good for me.
No, they had to leave. So right. it made a space. So have you been watching through the YouTube feed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll know roughly.
I'm Rem on YouTube, so little comments on the side were for me.
All right, okay. I've not actually got YouTube up because I don't know if you noticed, but I started it the video feed, and then I stopped it again.
Oh, and you were
because
getting a
having
loop,
YouTube in the
weren't you?
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like I started hearing myself with something like a 10-second delay, so it wasn't really working out very well. So, anyone else with their plans for the week? Or have we got everyone? So, anyone else with their plans for the week? Or have we got everyone?
Yeah.
I'm getting the YouTube feed from someone else now.
So, anyone else? Yeah. Plans for the week? Me, I've just jumped in from YouTube as well. Yeah.
I'm getting the YouTube feed from someone else now.
I've just jumped in from YouTube.
Yep. You need to close the YouTube page.
I've just jumped in from YouTube.
You need to close the YouTube page.
I'm trying.
She's gone. I just muted her as well because it was creating a very strange loop there. Oh dear. Technology is wonderful.
Yes, that's one of the best things about these challenges is it keeps me on my toes as far as technology. And I was a computer programmer by trade, but it's like to get on this Hangout today was a process, but I did it. You know?
Yeah, I still work in IT and I'm still having all these difficulties, so it doesn't make you exempt.
What the heck did I just do? Oh, somebody. Okay. I'm trying to mute my mic.
I do want to ask a question, Gary, if that's okay.
Of course.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask folks, like, what do you think the risks are to you guys making progress in your language? Like for me, this always happens whenever I'm in a language challenge, and I pick one language, obviously from the several languages that I always try. One of the other languages suddenly become more attractive because I'm not obligated to learn them, and then it's almost like you're cheating on your lover, right? And then you're turning to the other language. So that's always been a risk for me that I need to try and be conscious about, and then try not to do it for this challenge.
Yeah, I've had everything I could do. I've been wanting to learn Spanish I've learned Spanish a long time ago, but ever since I tried to learn Japanese, for whatever reason, my brain can't keep track of Japanese and relearned Spanish. And even for this challenge, I was like, Spanish or Japanese? I've been doing Japanese for so long. But I just had to prioritize and say to myself, it has to be Japanese right now. This is where I'm at right now. And I don't know why those two languages, I always mix them up. So anyway, I just have to focus. And that's all I have on my desk right now is just Japanese. So.
Yeah, I have a similar issue. Luckily, my Czech and my German have a pretty good. I don't know. They go well together, and especially because a lot of the expressions in Czech have been adopted from German and translated directly anyway, and so some of those I can use in both languages, and that's not a big deal. But yeah, I've had to basically say no Japanese at all during this challenge, no French, no German, or no German, no Norwegian at all, because Norwegian and German definitely cause a huge conflict in my mind because the words tend to be similar, but the grammar is completely different. So it's that's always caused a bit of a chaos in my mind when I try to keep those two up at the same time.
Is that what it is? I can't understand. Like I actually taught Spanish at one point in time, and I was at the beginning level of Japanese, and I just couldn't learn Japanese because French, I have no problem with French. I can do French in another language anytime, but I was also at a very much higher level in French. But it's just annoying because when I was in school, I was taking like 3 different languages, and now I can't do that. Now that I've gotten older, I just can't. It's got to be French and anything else at a time. But
yeah, I think learning 2 languages at the same time is very difficult. Maintaining one language while learning another is probably easier, depending on the language, like you say, if they're not too similar. I've always said that Italian was my first love, in that it was the first language that I fell in love with. and it was what got me into language learning in the first place. I'm also quite lucky that I've got a lot of native speakers at work as well. So I'll definitely still be maintaining that and doing it a little bit. But because Gaelic is the focus of my challenge, I've got my minimum commitment that I'll stick to every day. So I should still be able to make lots of progress in that as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know who else here knows or thinks or talks much about like the what do you call it, like the language core concept. And one of the things I think will be beneficial is, I think in some previous challenges I've done them for one language and been like, oh, this is fun, let me do them for 2 languages. Oh, this is really fun, let me do them for 5 languages. And then the whole thing just seems like a bunch of noise in my weekly study routine. And it almost like destroys some of the language core and separation I have in those languages. Whereas for this challenge, just focusing on one language, I think will help create a connection between my language challenge and German. Anytime I'm thinking about this, it's all German all the time. And it hopefully will rebuild the language core a little bit, because I'm kind of isolating it in a way.
I'm scared to speak now, because when I spoke before, it just echoed and echoed.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good now, Helen.
Yep.
A few. Okay. I've now like sussed it. Okay. Yeah, this is my worry as well, because, you know, I've got like French and Spanish to perhaps like B1, and I haven't spoken Spanish for like 2 years. But what I'm doing is on Memrise, I'm doing Memrise Italian, but for polyglots. Not that I'm a polyglot, but it's bringing up the text of how for any word in Italian, it's giving me the audio and it's given me the written in French and Spanish, which I'm finding really useful, because I'm looking at the French and Spanish and hearing the Italian and thinking, ah, yeah, that reminds me, that's a little bit like French, or it's a little bit like Spanish, depending. So I only started yesterday. It might not work, but I'm trying to like see if it does work, because I want to also revise my Spanish, because I'm going to Spain in April. So yeah, I'm playing with the multi-language thing, but I'm aware that I only want to focus on Italian, but I do want to sort of, I like to, when I hear a new word in Italian, I'm thinking, is that a bit like the verb in French or a bit like the verb in Spanish? So I'm experimenting at the moment with that, with the Memrise course.
So I actually don't think that that's so much an issue, as long as your French is a higher level, maybe. For me, it's when I have 2 languages at the same level, or maybe they're both, even if they're both intermediate or both beginner, and actually focusing on studying them at the same time. I did the exact same thing as you, where when I learned Italian well, like 10 years after French. Every word, it was like, oh, that's exactly like this French word with a little pizzazz. And then now my Italian is fine. It's very clear and isolated from French, even though there's a little bit of help along the way.
Yeah, like you say, Ollie Richards wrote a really good article on, what was it called? Bridging. So using a language that you're really strong in to learn a new language, because then you can maintain that language while learning a new one.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. The book I'm using to learn Japanese, I bought when I was in Montreal. So I bought the Asimil French version of How to Learn Japanese, because I figured that way I could maintain French easily and use it to learn the next language.
Yeah, that's actually what I do with Italian to Japanese now, and part of what I did to learn Czech from German. And I think that's part of why my Czech and German are not so at odds with each other.
That's actually my goal, sort of my goal for this challenge with my Italian, is to get kind of over that upper beginner B1 hump so that I can restart learning German, but through Italian. And so that's one of my punishments, I guess. If I don't make it, I have to put off German a little bit longer to keep going at my Italian. So that's one of my motivations too.
I'm actually curious, what are the reasoning behind everyone else's punishments and rewards?
Well, I'm kind of a rebel, so I didn't set up a punishment because I know if there's a punishment there, I'll just rebel. So
Yeah,
I put
neither
in,
did I.
I put in for punishment and reward, just because everyone's motivated different. Some people react better to a reward, some people better to a punishment, some people to both. So for me, I put in both. So twice every year, there's a retreat in the Highlands of Scotland for Gaelic. So if I succeed, I'll get to go on that. If I don't, I will take the money and donate it to charity instead. And it is true of what they say about Scotsmen and their money. They don't like to be partied. So yeah, so that's a big enough punishment for me.
See, my punishment was probably more of a secondary reward. Basically, if I do it well, I'll schedule myself another trip to Germany and really focus on using the German. And my punishment is my general thought is that structured language courses at like institutes are not helpful for me. But if I can't keep it together for this challenge, then my punishment is to take a Goethe Institute language course.
That's pretty good, Thomas.
Anyone else got an interesting punishment? I'm curious. No?
I don't have one now, like I said, but when I first started doing these language challenges a few years back, I always put like eating something exotic or out of the ordinary. But it turns out I really enjoyed doing that, so it wasn't a punishment for me, so I just stopped doing it.
Yep. I think as long as everyone knows their own motivations, no one's going to fail the challenge anyway, right? Obviously.
Yeah, we're all going to succeed for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the enthusiasm. Oh, is my camera gone off? Is my camera gone off? I've gone black in the picture.
I can still see you.
All right, okay.
Gary, just a question. You said that you've already sent the invites out to both groups, the language group as well as the just the motivation group. Is that the case? Because I only got one invite. But I'll check and ping you on Facebook.
What language?
French.
What language are you doing? Oh,
French?
yeah, there's definitely a French group.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll check the lists. Because lots of people joined at different times. Thought I'd kept track, but a couple of people have pinged me already and I've added them to groups. Someone also pinged me because I'd added them to the wrong group. Someone who was learning Spanish added them to the Japanese group for some strange reason. So yeah, there will be some admin mistakes. So yeah, just drop me a message if you need to.
So how many, I'm late because I was on YouTube and missed the beginning, but how many are in the whole thing? How many people are there in the whole challenge?
That's a good question. 40 something. I think we're 42, 43 in this challenge. The idea with this one was to keep it small, especially because I will make admin mistakes because it's all new. So I didn't advertise very much. I didn't leave it open very long. So yeah, just try and keep it a bit cozy. It does mean that some of the groups will be smaller than it should be, and some of us don't have a study group because there's not enough people doing certain languages. But yeah, the alternative was that I allowed in too many people and just messed it all up for everyone. So it was the lesser of two evils. Okay. Well, I think we're done for today. So we'll just wrap this up. What's everyone's thoughts on doing these hangouts? Should we just have one at the start, or would you just like to do one a month, or what does everyone else think?
I think that if there's a few through the challenge, it'll keep me a little bit more accountable. If I have to sit up here again and be like, oh, I didn't do anything.
I agree,
Okay.
and if anything, it's just like like being together, even online or virtually, with like-minded people. That always gets me motivated and encouraged.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree that
Yep.
yeah, it'd be good like once a month or something to check in where people are at the end of the first video. Did you do it? Are you happy? Whatever.
Yeah,
With
once
your
a month would
progress.
be.
Yeah, so what I may do then is schedule one for maybe a week after each video. And then we can even do one after it's all finished just to discuss what worked, what didn't work. I might not broadcast that one live, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so I'll just schedule those in. I'll put the links in the group. I'll try not to mess it up technically next time, and we'll take it from there. So I hope you all enjoy the challenge. Feel free to give me feedback and contact me at any point you like. My Facebook is going a bit mental at the moment because there are lots of people contact me, and I am a member of every one of the groups that I've created, so I'm getting all the notifications from that. So if I don't respond straight away, I will get to it, but it might take me time to dig through everything to actually find the relevant comments and stuff. So good luck, everyone, and I'll see you in the rest of the challenge.